everybody, and welcome. It's Shadow at Night. It is Thursday, August the 22nd, 2024. On the show tonight, well, the rail stoppage is on. It's not a strike, it's a lockout. CN and CPKC have decided they're going to lock out 9,000 Teamster Union employees until they can reach some kind of settlement. They were negotiating until the wee hours of last night, couldn't get anything done, and so there was a lockout as of this morning, very, very early. The federal government has sent this to arbitration, or at least tried to send this to arbitration. They're in the very early process of trying to get this thing solved, even though they probably could have stepped in when negotiations were falling apart with arbitration at that stage, but chose not to. Why? Well, Justin Trudeau would have you believe that he wants the parties to be able to work things out on their own. And that's an interesting thought. I think that's the way it should be as well. But what are his real motivations? Now, tonight, I'm going to get rather conspiratorial on you as we break down step by step what may have happened with this rail strike. Remember, this thing is costing us $1 billion worth of goods every single day, not getting shipped, not getting to their destinations because the workers aren't working and the trains aren't running. $1 billion worth of goods. Now, if this lasts for any length of time, there will be shortages. Food shortages, fuel shortages, shortages of pretty much everything. I told you guys this morning on a Facebook post to go out and stock up calmly, rationally, deep breaths, nobody panic, please. Get to know your local farmers very well. They can take care of you at this stage of the game. Make friends with them. Overpay for product, whatever it takes. You'll be taking care of local produce and local farmers at the same time, which is a good thing. A very good thing. As we head into the great unknown. You thought I was going to say the great reset, right? No, the great unknown, because I don't believe the great reset is ever going to be a permanent fixture in our lives. It may look like it for a period of time, but I don't think it's going to be permanent. Because we, the people, will stand up and fight back. Many people are doing that in the Winnipeg region right now regarding this Winnipeg Metropolitan Region Plan 2050. Already, we have 8 municipalities who have said, no, we're not doing this. As Wab Kinew, the premier, the new NDP premier of Manitoba, said on Tuesday night, hey, look, if the RMs, the rural municipalities, want to opt out of this plan, they can. We'll just enable legislation this fall when the House resumes sitting. Okay, great. Does that mean the plan is sunk? Of course it doesn't. I had a great, very productive meeting with several people who were working on getting information sessions put together and digging around to find out more information about what's really going on. Because once you start digging, oh my God, it's like a crazy vein in the ground or a vein of corruption and backdoor shenanigans. And so we do have people working on those ends as well, with emails flying here, there, and everywhere. Certain names keep popping up, names you don't know, at least not yet. So while we work on that, we are still working on coming up with at least 2 information sessions for those of you who have read or haven't read the plan, the Winnipeg Regional Plan 2050, and don't quite understand what it really means, because the language in there, let's be honest, the language in there is not exactly clear. It's a lot of word salad, a lot of phrases used in newspeak, as they referred to it in 1984, the book and the movie. And so they had to have a glossary of terms so people could understand exactly what they were talking about when they said green space or equity or diversity or inclusion. What does that really mean in 2024, as opposed to what we've always thought it meant? Because these days words have different meanings. So these information sessions are currently being planned. There's going to be at least 2 of them, maybe 4 of them. We're going to try and get in as many as we can. So we can help you understand exactly what's in this 146, 147 page plan. We're also hearing rumblings that they're scrapping that plan altogether, the one that was published just a couple of weeks ago, and starting work on a new plan. Don't know how true that is, but that's what we're hearing rumblings of. So I'll keep you up to date on all of that stuff as the news comes to me. In the meantime, hang on. There's no major cause for concern, at least not just yet. Go to the grocery store, stock up on some stuff quietly, calmly. Go ahead and do that because the rail stoppage is on. I was talking to well, actually, I talked to a number of wonderful people today, you guys. Like, the phone would not stop ringing. But the last call before I came on the air was from this woman right here. I played this video last night. I'm going to play a couple of minutes of it again. She is Lisa Robinson. She is a city councilor in Pickering, Ontario, and she's been ganged up on by the woke mafia on her city council for the last year and a half, 2 years. She was at an RM Association meeting in Ottawa just a few days ago, and this is where this press conference was recorded. We're going to play a couple of minutes of this speech because people loved it so much when I played it last night. We're going to play it again. So let's go.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Councillor Lisa Robinson from the City of Pickering. Friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens, we stand at a pivotal moment in our community's history. A moment where we must decide who we are, what we stand for, and how we will shape the future for ourselves and all generations to come. For too long, politics have been dominated by those who serve themselves before serving the people. We've seen corruption seep into the very fabric of our institutions, leaving too many of us feeling powerless, unheard, and disillusioned. The voices of the people, the everyday hardworking citizens who make our community thrive, have too often been drowned out by the noise of self-interest and backroom deals.
So Lisa and I had this wonderful conversation earlier this afternoon, a couple of hours ago maybe, and she's agreed to come on the show Monday night. So she's going to be on with us live on Monday night. One thing she did tell me was while she was in Ottawa, she took a tour of the House of Commons, which is still under construction, so it's currently in West Block, Parliament, House of Commons. And she went in there and she looked around, she took a couple of deep breaths and then started crying. She was so moved at being in the seat of our government. She was born to serve, as far as I'm concerned. And I asked her, "Are you going to run for MP?" And she goes, "I don't know. I don't know what to do." So maybe we can coach her through that as well, connect her with the right people, because she would be an asset to the federal government of Canada. Lisa Robinson joins the show. Councillor Lisa Robinson of Pickering, Ontario, joins the show on Monday night. And by the way, she gave me a little background on her life leading up to becoming elected. And she's like us. She is exactly like us. She has been with us from the start. She was at the convoy. She is one of us. It's going to be a pleasure having her on the show, which is brought to you by, and happy anniversary to Kevin and Anna Sigurdsson of CanadaNanoSilver.ca. What's it, 16 years you guys have been married as of today? Happy anniversary, excuse me, Kevin and Anna. CanadaNanoSilver.ca. The Recover Muscle Cream. Experience the ultimate comfort and relaxation as Recover works its magic. Formulated with cutting-edge technology, our advanced cream provides unparalleled relief, catering to your unique needs. Are you tired of battling muscle soreness after intense workouts or long days? Are you in search of a solution that provides unparalleled comfort and relaxation? Canada Nano Silver proudly presents Recover Silver Biotics, revolutionary muscle cream designed to be your powerful ally in soothing tired muscles and helping you conquer each day with ease. The latest product called Recover Muscle Cream, available on the website with all the other fantastic products at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.ca. If you're looking for a retail location near you, you can find one right here on the Retail Locations tab. And if you would like to become a retailer of these awesome products yourself, get a hold of Kevin and Anna through the Contact tab at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. And once again, Kevin and Anna, happy anniversary. I hope you guys have a great night and a great weekend coming up. Who is here watching today? David Carlson's watching on X. Chuck is watching tonight on Facebook. Hello, Mike, Vancouver Island, watching on Facebook. Kevin is watching while making some grub. He's in Calgary. Edna's watching in Victoria. Hello, Kathy, watching in Florenceville, New Brunswick. Angela's watching in, is that California? Wow, California? Seriously, you're in California? Tony is watching on X. in Calgary. Hello, Wayne, watching. Wayne and Patty. I always forget Patty because it's Wayne's account they're watching on, you see. So that's what I see first. And then I see Wayne and Patty watching from Norwich, Ontario. You guys are regulars. You deserve a shout out. Thank you for watching on X tonight. And who else? JJ is here. Eddie's here. Barb, Bruce, Dorothy, Carol Ann, Patricia. You guys, thank you for being here tonight. Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube, it doesn't matter. Get it out there, like and share. Smash that like button, as they say. Let's get as many eyeballs and eardrums on this show as we possibly can as we get the information out there to you. It is information out, people in here on the Shadow at Night live stream. People have been asking me, you're going to keep up this Sunday to Thursday thing? You know, because I switched over the summer. Instead of Monday to Friday, I'm doing Sunday to Thursday. After Labor Day weekend, we go back to Monday to Friday. And there's a lot of people going, all right, thank God. I was just getting used to this Sunday to Thursday thing, though, Shadow. What are you doing to me? All right, so here's the first story of the night. Obviously, it's the biggest story of the week, maybe even the year so far, depending on how long it lasts, from TNC.news. And stay with me on this one, you guys. Stay with me on this one. Industry leaders warn rail strike effects will be felt hard at home and abroad. Well, it's $1 billion of products a day not being moved. Rail moves 70% of the products in Canada every day. The rest, truck, ship. The work stoppage of Canada's two main railway companies likely to lead to major supply chain issues at CN and CPKC. That's formerly Canadian Pacific. I think it was 2013. They merged with Kansas City Rail as well. They haul a combined total of $1 billion worth of goods daily. While the effects may not immediately be felt by many Canadians, over 32,000 rail commuters are already, because this affects via rail as well, already being forced to find alternative means of travel for work in cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Commuters who use the TransLink's West Coast Express in Vancouver, Metrolink's Milton Line, Hamilton Geo Station in the Greater Toronto Area, Exo's Candiac, St. Jerome, and Vaudreuil Hudson lines in Montreal have all been affected by this strike, and Via Rail's Northern Ontario line that runs through Sudbury. However, commuters are just the tip of the iceberg. Effects will be felt in grocery stores too, and will worsen dramatically should this dispute drag on. Gas will be at a premium. Now, people are wondering, can they just gouge us on prices? No, that would actually be obvious and visible price gouging, which is illegal. They couldn't do that. According to Food, Health, and Consumer Products of Canada, people in Atlantic and Western Canada will be the most impacted by the halt of perishable goods. A one-week rail disruption is expected to require 6 to 8 weeks of recovery time before normal service levels are restored, said the FHCP in a statement. With rail carrying the equivalent of approximately 20,000 truckloads of consumer packaged goods per month, the alternative trucking cannot adequately compensate for this volume. After just 10 days of labor disruption, the estimated lost sales in Western and Atlantic Canada could reach approximately $40 million per week. This disruption will not only strain supply chains, but also inflate costs and limit the availability of essential goods. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business said it already has been contacted by several businesses which have expressed fears about not being able to receive the crucial products they need to remain active. This will affect emergency rooms, hospitals. They'll be rationing. It's going to affect everything and everybody in every way. Think about maybe living in the bush for a while, living off the land. Get a tent, go nuts. CFIB, I joke. CFIB has already been hearing from businesses concerned about not getting essential shipments of aviation gas for forest fighting equipment, manufacturing inputs, vehicle parts, retail products, and agricultural equipment. Embargoes of certain refrigerated products or high-risk chemicals, chlorine, fuels were in place even before the full lockouts. Christina Santini, Director of National Affairs, told True North. Santini said that smaller businesses are poised to have a very difficult time when it comes to altering modes of transportation to keep things up and running. Oh, interesting. Small business and medium businesses impacted again. Well, the big box, just keep moving on. Just like way back when. Remember? Alternative modes of transportation of goods can be inaccessible for many small businesses as trucking capacity is already strained and shipments are now stuck in the system. In addition to transportation issues, Santini said that many businesses had already been keeping less inventory in stock due to the current high cost of borrowing capital, meaning many products could soon become discontinued for the time being. So if this continues on for any length of time, things might get bad. Things might get bad. So Kurt Taves of Winnipeg Alternative Media shared a post today. He got an email from a CN employee who wants to remain anonymous. And he put it up on his, Kurt put it up on the WHAM Facebook page. I'm going to read it to you now. This employee says, I am an employee of CN Rail. I cannot expose my identity as an employee for reasons of facing reprimand for sharing information deemed detrimental to their public image, meaning CN's public image. Attached is a screenshot of an email addressed to a customer from CN. You can see that on the Winnipeg Alternative Media Facebook page. For a few years now, this anonymous employee says, CN has been utilizing notch restrictions, quote unquote, which reduce the train's ability to go track speed in the effort to save gas and reduce carbon. The carbon credits they earn as a result are then sold to other companies who do not meet their emissions goals. This prolongs the time that freight is on the rails, delaying delivery to customers. I mention this as a point of contention regarding CN's claim of caring about their customers. As a unionized employee, I can inform you that CN, the company, has never presented a single contract offer in good faith bargaining to the union. Each time they sent anything out, they have circumvented the actual bargaining committee of the union and sent their offers directly to the membership. This has never occurred during the 2 decades I've been employed at the railway. Interesting, right? We've always received tentative agreements from our leadership in the union, the TCRC, the Teamsters. The company wishes to further reduce our availability, days off at home with our loved ones, increase our time at work on trains as well as the terminal away from home, the destination of the train they're on, change from being paid by miles to an hourly rate, which could effectively rewrite the entire contract, resulting in further losses on our part, the employee's part, set up mobile conductor jobs with the perceived intention of moving to one-man crews like the train which exploded in Quebec a few years ago, reducing further the safety of train operations. Currently, at the railway, we are at the mercy of CN by way of resets that occur while we're on call. This happens at random times, which put us unavailable for calls without notice on rest. This is an example of CN using to convey the message of enough time at home. Example, I'm on call. Hang on a minute here. Let me just scroll down. Example, I'm on call expecting a call to work a train at 1600 hours, 4 p.m. from Winnipeg to Sioux Lookout, the away from home terminal. As per federal regulations, my weekly reset is set to occur no later than 64 hours from now. My family made plans to go to the lake 2 days from now, which would allow me to be there. If I'm called at 1400 for 1600, I'd be back tomorrow by midnight. But the company, without notice to me, arbitrarily decides to put me on an early reset in order to have me work tomorrow instead. Below is an article explaining the hurdle for the railways that the union's right to strike is protected under the charter. Let it be made clear, the company has locked the employees out. We have not even issued a strike notice. It should be worrisome for all who seek to utilize their power as a union to bargain for improved contracts. The goal of this lockout is to erode a union's right to strike by forcing the government to force our brothers and sisters at CP, CPKC back to work, effectively erasing our right to strike as well. It was perfectly timed with CPKC strike to put maximum pressure on the economy and effectively shut down the country. Now, again, this is a union member obviously taking the union's side. But if anyone is to blame for whatever economic issues arise, let it be known that this is on CN. We want to work without giving up our entire lives to a company that profits billions of dollars each quarter of the year. Okay, so let's have a closer look at CN and CPKC. Who owns the largest ownership stake in CN first? If you look over here, you'll notice that Here's the ownership group. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, MFS Investment Management, huge, huge, huge company. Wellington Management Company, Vanguard, BlackRock. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, MFS Investment Management, Wellington Management Company, Vanguard, BlackRock. All huge proponents of the Great Reset. Among the richest conglomerates on the face of the planet. Between all of these companies, that could be $14 trillion of the $90 trillion that is available in currency across the entire planet. All right. Who owns CP? Here it is right here. You see Vanguard, Royal Bank of Canada, TCI Fund Management, WCM Investment, TD Asset, Bank of Montreal, huge banks, Pershing Square Capital Management, hedge funds, Capital World Investments, Mackenzie Financial Corp, Vanguard, Star Funds, Veritas Asset Management. So could it be that the ownership of these two huge rail companies are doing this on purpose to create shortages? Remember, we have always said there's going to be shortages. There's going to be shortages. We're going to feel the effects. There's going to be shortages. Is this how they do it? With a strike? Now, you would think with something this large that the federal government would be stepping in to end it. As a matter of fact, they might even call back the House of Commons for an emergency sitting so they could pass a back-to-work legislation. It's that important to the country that these goods get moved because people are going to be running out very, very soon. What did Justin Trudeau say about this today?
Visited a little incredibly innovative manufacturer here that works for Tesla and others in some really high-performing, high-quality manufacturing. But I talked also about the fact that they are going to be impacted if a shutdown of the rail system continues for much longer. And that's something that is an impact right across the country, from workers to businesses to farmers to consumers who are going to be impacted. That's why we are on this. We're taking it so seriously. The minister is engaged directly. We are not taking this lightly, obviously, because Canadians across the country are worried about it, and we will have more to say shortly on what we're doing to make sure that the right solution is found quickly for the economy.
It sounds responsible enough, doesn't it? I mean, we're making sure that we take all the proper steps and get these folks back to work as quickly as we possibly can for Canadians and the economy. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong outwardly with what he said to that reporter there. Except what if in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, this strike, sorry, it's not a strike, it's a lockout, this stoppage is still ongoing. And people can't buy, toilet paper. What then? He could have already stopped this. Jagmeet Singh, who's another World Economic Forum puppet, says the government should by no means step in. This is definitely something that needs to be handled by the companies and the union. And that's it. So Jagmeet is already publicly stated that he would rather see Canada burn, Canadians suffer, than the government getting involved in these back-to-work negotiations. It's not an emergency service, rail transport, so it might be difficult to legislate back to work. I don't know. But wouldn't you think, instead of just kind of sitting around visiting electric car factories, that he might be engaged, Trudeau, in doing something about this? Are you saying he can walk and chew gum at the same time? I don't know if he can. I don't know. But it seems to me that, and again, this is only day one of the stoppage. So I'm just throwing this out there to you right now. Remember who owns the largest ownership in CN and CP. Remember that it's a lockout and not a strike. And we may have an answer, again, depending on how long this thing goes on. Have you seen, and I'm going to throw this out there to you guys right now for comments because I didn't go out today. I went out briefly for maybe 5-10 minutes and then I had to come back in because work. So I didn't go outside today. Did you go to any stores? Did you see any extra buying? Were people stacking up their groceries like sky high? What was going on in the grocery store? Was anybody going crazy? Kendall says Trudeau is a criminal moron. End of story. Well, that may be. That may be. I hope nobody thinks that I'm on his side suddenly. I mean, please don't go thinking that. You guys know what I think about Trudeau. Come on now. Michael says no frills wasn't any busier than normal today. Jenny, I like this one. If anyone isn't a conspiracy theorist by now, then you're just an idiot. Gloria says Oak Bank all day, then went to Safeway, wasn't busy. Okay, so maybe this hasn't really hit home to people yet. Maybe they haven't really, maybe, I think that's kind of a thing, unless the media paints this as an emergency. And remember, people are also in summer mode as well, so they might not be as tuned in as they would be normally, but maybe, and they just don't quite understand how this will impact them. Oh, there's just a rail strike, no big deal. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Like 70% of the goods that are transported in Canada every single day are on trains. 70%, as I pointed out earlier. So if it's not busy right now, guys, I suggest that you go to the store and quietly buy maybe 50% more than you normally would. Stock up. Just do it. And you want to know what? If they go back to work tomorrow or next week or even tonight, then you've got all the extra anyway. You don't have to go to the store next week. So better having more than not enough. So just pick some stuff up because you never know. You just don't know. As all this is going on, the RCMP are reporting new bomb threats against synagogues and other institutions as they try to continue and throttling Christianity in Canada and Judaism as well. The federal police force said it suspects the same people responsible for Wednesday's threats to be responsible for the new threats. Of course, the people who want a free Palestine. The RCMP today reported a new series of bomb threats against Canadian institutions a day after threatening emails were sent to more than 100 Jewish institutions across the country, including several synagogues in Montreal. On social media today, the federal police force said it was responding to additional bomb threats being made to institutions across Canada, including museums, malls, ports, art galleries, synagogues, and other locations. All threats are being rapidly addressed in coordination with police of jurisdiction. The RCMP said it suspects the individual or the individuals responsible for yesterday's threats are responsible for threats received today. We're working in close partnership with domestic and international police to identify the suspected individual or individuals and disrupt their activities. On Thursday, an email was sent at about 5 a.m. to synagogues in Hampstead, Westmount, Saint Laurent, Dollard des Ormeaux, and Côte Saint-Luc. Among other places, the email said explosives had been placed in black backpacks and would be set off in a matter of hours. You will all end up in a pool of blood. None of you deserve to keep living. Import the third world, and you get the third world. While the police department was in charge of carrying out local searches, the investigation into the email was transferred to the RCMP. The threats are being investigated to the Federal Policing National Security Program, which works in collaboration with intelligence and law enforcement partners, the RCMP said. I'm wondering if these are all just idle threats or if they're actually going to blow up a synagogue. My God, what country do we live in? Cupie, Ontario, is demanding the resignation of this guy right here. I'm sorry, but every time I see a picture of this guy, it just, I think of the Muppet Show. I don't know what it is. His name is Fred Hahn, and he is one of these pro-Palestinian guys. Even though he's also the vice president of CUPE in Ontario, he posts anti-Semitic videos of himself all the time. And so the union, CUPE, is asking him to step down. They've lost confidence in National Vice President Fred Hahn. They're demanding his resignation after he posted a video denounced as anti-Semitic. He said, "We've given him pretty strong direction," CUPE National President Mark Hancock told the Star in an interview yesterday, a day after the union's executive board met over the growing controversy surrounding Hahn. So Hahn is high up. He's the national VP and the president of CUPE Ontario, but he's not the highest. This guy here, CUPE National President Mark Hancock, is. I don't know if he has the power to fire Hahn directly, though. They're giving him strong direction, they say. Hahn was reelected earlier this year in a separate but related role as president of the union's Ontario wing, which also faces a human rights complaint filed last November in the wake of the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel and the subsequent attack by Israel in Gaza that's killed more than 40,000 Palestinians. The complaint alleges systemic discrimination and promotion of anti-Semitism that isolates Jewish members of the massive public sector union. There he is there with all of his rainbows in the background. Hopefully Fred Hahn will soon be gone. Fred Hahn could soon be gone. Boom, 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 boom. This is an interesting tweet that I picked up earlier today from Sarah Wahidi. As we talk about Palestinians, Afghanistan is not a Palestinian nation, but it's a Muslim nation. And as of today, this is how women must dress in Afghanistan, according to the Taliban supreme leader. Have a look at this. Have a look at this. The following rules are now in effect. The full face must be covered, no hands, nothing visible. The black veil was presented as a recommendation a year ago, and now it is law. That is going on in Afghanistan from the Taliban supreme leader. So that's what you get when you get a wackadoo fundamentalist Islam leader in a Middle Eastern country. And that is what the college kids in the United States, the university kids in Canada are promoting. If those kids, who some are gay, some are trans, they claim, went over there to Afghanistan and tried to dress the way they do here, what do you think would happen to them there? It would not be pretty. It's possible we could have another work stoppage next month. This time, you won't be able to fly, at least not on Air Canada, because you can't fly a plane if you don't have a pilot. And Air Canada pilots have authorized a strike for as soon as September. They voted overwhelmingly to approve a strike mandate, putting them in a position to walk off the job as early as September 17th. The Airline Pilots Association, representing more than 5,400 aviators at the country's largest carrier, said the vote was passed with 98% support today. The employees have been negotiating with Air Canada since June of last year, not this year, with ongoing talks in Toronto hotels overseen by a federal conciliator. That process is slated to wrap up this Monday, following a 21-day cooling off period, leaving September 17th as the soonest possible strike date. Charlene Hoodie, head of the union's Air Canada contingent, said the vote sends a clear message to management that pilots are willing to take job action to secure a better deal. It's stale. It's an outdated contract. She said in a phone interview, there are now elements of our collective agreement in place that stem back to just post-bankruptcy. The airline filed for bankruptcy protection in 2003. So it's quite possible, if this rail stoppage continues, I almost said strike, rail stoppage continues into September, and I doubt it will, because there will be too much pressure on the Trudeau government to stop this. When people start going short, when you can't buy a can of beans at your superstore or your Safeway, they are going to be putting pressure on the government to stop it. And right now, Trudeau says we're doing everything we can. We've got the Minister of Employment on it, but they're not forcing back to work legislation, at least not yet. And to do that, they have to call the House back to session for an emergency session. And I'm sure all of the MPs would, not happily, but they'd go back and vote on this. It's kind of important. So let's just say we've got this thing going on for a couple more weeks, and as experts are saying, we're going to feel the effects of it at least a couple, 3 more weeks after the rail stoppage ends. Then we can't fly. Well, you can fly on WestJet, I suppose, but good luck getting a flight if Air Canada's not flying. And some of the other smaller airlines don't fly to where you want to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Going to take a train? Oh, wait, you can't take a train. You're going to drive? Maybe. And maybe the price of gas, because there's no gas available anywhere, could be anywhere between, what, $3 and $5 a liter? Now, look it. I can't prove it. But are you still sitting there trying to tell me this is not intentional? All this happening at the same time as the American election campaign swirls around us, as war still continues in Ukraine. And it just seems like everything's happening all at once. We do have some good news, though. There is some good news, you guys. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. Look at this from the Detroit Free Press. What better paper to go to than to talk about cars? Detroit, the Motor City, right? Ford has shifted their EV strategy, dropping all their electric 3-row SUVs and delaying their electric pickup until 2027, probably later, because you know that Trump is going to be in office by then. And by the way, for those of you who are worried about Kamala Harris somehow winning the election down there, I don't think, even with a huge amount of cheating done by the Democrats, that they have a chance. I don't think they have a chance. All you got to do is go on to any social media video platform and look for polling videos, U.S. election polling videos, and you'll see all these different pollsters presenting their thoughts about how it's going to go according to the latest polls in every single state. And generally speaking, when I watch these things, and I watch at least one a day, Trump wins 310 electoral college votes, which means that he wins the election. It's 270 to win. 271, actually. And usually Trump is over 300. So it's the Senate and the House that we have to worry about. If the Republicans don't get control of the Senate and the House, or one of the two at the very least, then Trump's powers will be minimal, limited. Anyway, Ford is shifting their EV strategy. And for those of you that don't know, and I had to look it up today myself, and I knew this, but I wanted to make sure. A 3-row SUV means a front seat, a back seat, and then a back seat. They're putting that on the back burner, this electric SUV 3-row thing, until 2027. A Ford Motor Company said yesterday they're changing their electric vehicle strategy, canceling plans for an all-electric 3-row SUV and delaying the launch of a full-size EV pickup. Why? Why? Because nobody wants them. Nobody wants to buy them. Here's a Gallup poll that goes back to March. And this year, people are less likely to buy an electric vehicle than last year. Americans' electric vehicle ownership and potential ownerships. Thinking now about electric vehicles, which of the following applies to you? You currently own an electric vehicle. You're seriously considering buying an EV. You might consider buying an electric vehicle in the future, or you would not buy an electric vehicle ever over your dead body. So in 2023, 4% of people said that they already owned one, whereas in 2024, 7% said they would or had one. Going to the seriously considering buying, last year, 12% said, yeah, I'd seriously consider that. In 2024, only 9%. Now, might consider buying in the future. Last year, 43% of the people said that. This year, 35% of the people. Never in a million years would I ever think about buying one of those monstrosities. Last year, only 41% of people. This year, 48% of people. Now, let me ask you, why are people still so against electric vehicles? Is it because there's not enough charging stations? What else could the reason be? They're far more expensive than regular gas-powered vehicles. Yeah. They're not as easy to maintain in terms of repairs as regular vehicles, standard vehicles, gas-powered vehicles. Yeah, probably. This is Canada, or even in a winter country like the northern United States. Kind of tough to drive an EV, keep it charged. right? Doesn't work in a cold weather country. Or is it? And I might be completely off the mark here. Let me see what you guys are saying. Well, Greg says because they're junk. Yeah. Built-in kill switch. Well, that's a good. Yeah, thank you for that one, Robert. Yeah, built-in kill switch. They can stop you from driving from a remote location anytime they want if you haven't got the right climate score. The power grid wouldn't be able to handle it. Yeah, okay. So some all very good suggestions. But what about people don't believe in climate change? What about that? Did that ever occur to anybody? Here's a headline from the Gateway Pundit from today. The Atlantic Ocean is cooling at record speed, and climate hoaxers are absolutely baffled. Aren't the oceans supposed to be like melting? Isn't that what's supposed to be going on right now with the global warming or the whatever they're calling it these days? Climate change? No, they're getting colder, the oceans are. What? We can't figure that one out. This is what I keep saying. It keeps changing all the time, and they don't know why. They can't tell you why. The Atlantic Ocean is now cooling at record speed, leading climate alarmists, leaving them absolutely baffled. While temperatures in the ocean were recently reaching record highs, that trend has gone into reverse over the past year, confusing these scientists and those warning about an impending global catastrophe. The new scientist explains. Over the past 3 months, the shift from hot to cool temperatures in the equatorial Atlantic Ocean has happened at record speed. This emerging Atlantic Nina pattern comes just ahead of an expected transition to a cooler La Nina in the Pacific Ocean, and these back-to-back events could have ripple effects on weather worldwide. The swing towards cooler temperatures in both oceans is a welcome change after more than a year of record heat at land and sea, largely driven by the rise in greenhouse gas emissions. Really? And a warm El Nino pattern in the tropical Pacific Ocean that developed in mid-2023. I would say we can get rid of the theory there. They had to throw that in because of their puppet masters, the greenhouse gas emissions. But yeah, El Nino is known to warm us up, while La Nina is known to cool us down. We're starting to see the global mean ocean temperature going down a bit, says Pedro Dinizio at the University of Colorado Boulder. According to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, global sea surface temps this past July were slightly cooler than the year before, ending a 15-month streak of record high average ocean temperatures. The Atlantic Ocean is cooling at a record pace, and nobody knows why. Well, there are likely a range of scientific theories as to why this shift is occurring. Such sudden changes in temperature serve as a reminder of how the Earth's climate is always changing with no regard for human activity. It's a planet. And how arrogant could anybody be to sit there and say, if you pay a tax and we get carbon out of the atmosphere completely, the planet might live. If not, end times, baby. It's a planet. And a planet is going to do what a planet does. Planet's going to planet. Period. Oh, and by the way, there is a strategy brewing right now for people who are fighting back against these smart city / 15-minute city plans to argue climate change, which is ultimately what's going to happen. You are going to have to argue climate change is not yet proven. I don't think it ever could be. So the science is certainly not settled on that. However, there are many, many people out there who believe it is, thanks to the brainwashing of the media and the government these past few years. So the plan is about deprogramming. I'm not going to go into any specific details on this yet because the plan is not complete. But from what I saw today, it looked pretty good to me. It's tough deprogramming a cult, huge cult, but you can. You can do it. By the way, Rob Schneider's interview with Tucker Carlson is amazing. If you haven't checked that out, I suggest you go check that out at your earliest convenience. Also, Tucker did an interview with a brother-sister a couple days ago. I think it's available on X and YouTube right now. And they're whistleblowers on big pharma and big food and how we are being poisoned and how we've been poisoned since birth. And this is how they keep their grasp on us. Interesting. Very interesting. Go check out the last couple of episodes of Tucker Carlson. The vaccinereaction.org put up this story, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Trust in U.S. doctors and hospitals has declined since the pandemic. Duh. But they did a survey, so let's go ahead and go through it here. A 2024 survey study published in the Journal of American Medical Association Network Open found that Americans' trust in medical doctors and hospitals declined significantly after the pandemic. The 2020 pandemic signified a turning point in the public's trust in the medical profession that was previously deemed to be a trustworthy profession. Sure, of course, he's a doctor. You must believe him. Yeah, but we're talking about carpentry here and building a deck. Yeah, but he's a doctor. Are you a doctor of wood? No, but I am a doctor. Look, I'm wearing a white coat. Oh, I believe you then. You know, it's just, I just want to say this because it just reminded me of something. Doctors are trained medical professionals. They are not workplace safety experts. So if a doctor is telling you to wear a surgical mask to stop the spread of a virus, why would you believe him or her? They have no training in that area whatsoever. As a matter of fact, doctors these days don't take even 1 minute of nutritional training. Not 1 minute. In the entire 7 years they're going to school, they don't learn anything about nutrition. Nothing. You know more about nutrition than an overweight doctor does. Seriously. Now, this doctor might have taken a personal interest in nutrition. They might know more than us that way, but they're not trained nutritionally. Anyway, how would a doctor know how germs, bacteria, virus spread through the air if they're not workplace safety experts? Only a workplace safety expert can tell you what mask, what face coverings are required for what situations. Right? And yet we listen to them. We listen to them on masks, and they have no expertise in that area whatsoever. Anyway, in 2023, a Gallup poll showed that the public's perception of physician ethics was considerably below the pre-pandemic baseline. A significant rise in Americans' distrust across all demographics includes, you guessed it, 443,455 people who responded to the survey study aged 18 years or older residing in the U.S. with state-level representative quotas for race and ethnicity and age and gender. They got everybody in. Results from the survey showed that trust in physicians and hospitals decreased substantially over the course of the pandemic from 71.5% in April of 2020 to 40.1% in January of 2024. What? That's a huge drop, man, in a very short period of time. Hang on, I got a text here. Oh, everything is all good. All right, so there's that doctor thing. Oh, this is something that Glenn Beck of The Blaze put up today. Now, I found this kind of funny. The DNC continues in Chicago right now. That's the Democratic National Convention. Glenn Beck says, makes total sense. Every progressive globalist president together at last. Remember, we talk about two wings of the same bird, right? Globalists, which George W. Bush and his CIA spy daddy have always been, are all for a new world order. This is why they cannot allow Donald Trump in the Oval. He stands directly in their path. Ian Yeager says, breaking, George W. Bush is allegedly scheduled to speak at the Democratic National Convention. A Republican two-term president is going to speak at the Democratic National Convention. What does that say to you? My goodness. Isn't that something? Ooh. Okay. So I'm gonna wrap early tonight on social media, you guys. I've got this great video presentation to play for all access members at shadowdavis.com. So if you're not an all access member, go ahead and join up right now. Anne Bressington, a former member of the Western Australian Legislative Council, bravely exposes UN Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030, the Great Reset. This is about an 18-minute special that she exposes here. And it involves the Club of Rome. She names names, goes back to at least in her summation, it goes back to the 1960s. So we're going to play that for you in just a couple of minutes on the extension at shadowdavis.com. Monday night, we have guest Pickering City Councilor Lisa Robinson on the show. I am looking forward to that very, very much. So we're wrapping up on social right now. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I will catch you back here on Monday night. This weekend, I am busy working on some things. So there will be no Sunday night show. I'll be back Monday night with Lisa Robinson, 8 o'clock Central, for another Shadow at Night live stream on all the social media platforms, which you should not forget to like and share on, like YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and X and Telegram and Rumble. Again, I'll catch you guys Monday night at 8 o'clock. Bye for now. If you're an all-access member at shadowdavis.com, I will see you there in 2 minutes' time.